The continents lie on massive plates that are in constant motion on Earth's surface. Their movement, called continental drift, sometimes forces continents together and other times pulls them apart. The continents as we know them today are still in motion, so millions of years in the future, their arrangement will look much different. Let's go back 540 million years to the beginning of the Cambrian period, when Earth's continents were mostly in the southern hemisphere and were coalescing into larger landmasses. The largest, Gondwana, included the future South America, Africa, India, Australia, and Antarctica. Around this time, during a period of about 60 million years, a rapid diversification of life took place, known as the Cambrian explosion. Many of the major animal groups represented by species alive today first appeared during these evolutionary radiations. Over the next 200 million years, the large land masses continued to approach each other. At the end of the Ordovician period, massive glaciers formed over the southern continents, sea levels dropped about 50 meters, and ocean temperatures dropped. About 75% of all animal species became extinct, probably because of these major environmental changes. During the Silurian period, marine life rebounded, and the first vascular plants and terrestrial arthropods, scorpions and millipedes, evolved. Fishes diversified as bony armor gave way to the less rigid scales of modern fishes, and the first jawed fishes appeared. In the Devonian period, many animal groups radiated on land and in the sea. Fish diversified and some became formidable predators. Tall trees with fern-like leaves dominated newly appearing forests. The end of the Devonian is marked by a massive extinction of about 75% of all marine species. In the Carboniferous period, about 350 million years ago, extensive swamp forests grew on the tropical continents. The fossilized remains from the forests formed the coal we now mine for energy. The diversity of terrestrial animals increased greatly. Amniotes, with their well-protected eggs, evolved, as did giant amphibians and winged insects, the first animals to fly. During the Permian period, the continents merged into a single supercontinent called Pangaea. On land, the amniotes split into two lineages, the reptiles, and a second lineage that would eventually lead to the mammals. Toward the end of the Permian, conditions for life deteriorated. Massive volcanic eruptions produced ash and gases that blocked sunlight and cooled the climate. The resulting death and decay of forests rapidly used up atmospheric oxygen. In addition, much of Pangaea was located close to the South Pole by the end of the Permian. All of these factors combined to produce the most extensive continental glaciers since the snowball Earth hundreds of millions of years earlier. At the low oxygen concentrations at the end of the Permian period, most animals would not be able to survive at elevations above 500 meters, so about half of the land area would have been uninhabitable. Scientists estimate that about 96% of all multicellular species became extinct. The few organisms that survived the Permian mass extinction found themselves in a relatively empty world. In the Mesozoic era, atmospheric oxygen concentrations gradually rose. Pangaea remained largely intact through the Triassic period. On land, conifers became dominant plants, and frogs and reptiles began to diversify. The radiations of reptiles eventually gave rise to crocodilians, dinosaurs, and birds. The first mammals appeared during the Triassic. The end of the Triassic was marked by a mass extinction that eliminated about 65% of the species on Earth. Pangaea began to break up, and by the late Jurassic period, Pangaea became fully divided into two large continents, Laurasia, which drifted northward, and Gondwana to the south. Most of the large terrestrial predators and herbivores of the period were dinosaurs. The earliest known fossils of flowering plants are from late in this period. During the Cretaceous period, Laurasia and Gondwana broke apart. During the Cretaceous period, Earth was warm and humid. Flowering plants began the diversification that led to their current dominance of the land. By the end of the Cretaceous, many radiations of animal groups on both land and sea had occurred. A meteorite caused a mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous. On land, almost all animals larger than about 25 kilograms in body weight, including the non-avian dinosaurs, became extinct. Several significant continental collisions occurred during the Tertiary period. By about 35 million years ago, the Indian plate ran fully into the Eurasian plate, and the Himalayas began to be pushed up as a result. Africa subsequently collided with Eurasia, and South America with North America. In this period, flowering plants dominated on land, and a rapid radiation of mammals occurred. Although the early Tertiary was hot and humid, Earth's climate began to cool, and grasslands spread over much of Earth. We are living in the Quaternary period, during which 4 major and about 20 minor ice ages have occurred. During ice ages, massive glaciers spread across the continents, and the ranges of animal and plant populations shifted toward the equator. The last of these glaciers retreated from temperate latitudes less than 15,000 years ago. Organisms are still adjusting to this change. Many high-latitude ecological communities have occupied their current locations for no more than a few thousand years. It was during the Quaternary period that divergence within one group of mammals, the primates, resulted in the evolution of the hominoid lineage, eventually leading to our modern human species, Homo sapiens. It may be hard to visualize, but humans are incredibly recent arrivals on this 4.5 billion-year-old planet. Even the Cambrian explosion, at about 500 million years ago, could be considered a recent series of events. Life has been evolving on Earth for about 3.8 billion years. The continents in Earth's biological communities have been constantly changing during this time, and will continue to change into the future.